Thanksgiving dinner, surrounded by your family, and having your own sister publicly tear you down, calling you a lucky idiot to your face? And what if, in that very moment, you made a silent decision, a decision that would unravel her entire week with just a few taps on your phone? Because that's exactly what happened to me. And let me tell you, when her next direct deposit didn't hit, she finally understood that luck had absolutely nothing to do with it. This wasn't some sudden explosion, though. No, this had been building for years, like a slow-burning fuse. I'm 32 now, and my sister, Kelly, is 28. We grew up in a pretty standard suburban middle-class family. Nothing extravagant, nothing terrible. Our parents, both accountants, instilled in us the value of hard work and education. They taught us that focus and effort would lead to good things. Solid advice, right? In theory. But Kelly and I were just different. From day one, I was the kid who saved every birthday dollar, mowed lawns to upgrade my bike, always looking to build something. Kelly, she'd blow her allowance the day she got it, then immediately hit up our parents for more. In high school, I was devouring investing books. She was flipping through celebrity gossip magazines. I worked my butt off through college, juggling jobs, while she was all about the social scene, barely scraping by with her grades. I'm not saying this to sound perfect. Trust me, I'm far from it. But my priorities were clear: financial security, building a future. Kelly's was having fun and figuring it out later. Neither is inherently wrong, but they lead to wildly different paths. After college, I dove into renewable energy consulting. Sounds a bit dry, I know, but the work was fascinating. I helped companies switch to solar and wind, handling the financial analysis and project management. The industry was booming, and I was good at it. Like really good. Within 3 years, I was managing massive accounts, pulling in 6 figures. But there was a ceiling, you know? Working for someone else, you can only climb so high before you're just making them rich. I watched my boss buy his 3rd vacation home, while I got a measly 3% annual raise that barely kept pace with inflation. I was generating millions, but barely seeing 10% of that value. The math just didn't add up for my long-term goals. So, at 27, I made a leap that everyone, and I mean everyone in my family, thought was completely insane. I quit my comfortable corporate job and started my own consulting firm. My old boss actually laughed when I gave notice. He said I'd be back begging for my job within a year, claiming the industry was too competitive, that I lacked the connections. His condescending smirk? That was almost as good a motivator as my own ambition. That first year? Brutal. I worked 80-hour weeks. Ramen became my main food group. I barely slept, constantly wondering if I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. I maxed out 2 credit cards just to keep the lights on, just to build that client base. There were nights, 2 a.m., staring at my laptop, wondering if all the doubters had been right. My parents were supportive, but you could see the worry in their eyes. At family dinners, they'd see how exhausted I was. My dad would even drop hints. No shame in going back corporate, son, if things don't pan out. He meant well, but it felt like he was already writing my eulogy. And Kelly? Oh, Kelly was having a field day. She told anyone who'd listen that I was an idiot, that I'd fail and come crawling back in 6 months. She'd make jokes at family gatherings about me applying to work for her. Real sisterly love, right? At one point, about 8 months in, I hit rock bottom. I had $247 in my business account, a major proposal due in 2 days, and I hadn't paid myself in 3 months. Credit cards and dwindling savings were all I had. I was in my apartment, which I could barely afford, seriously considering just giving up. But then that proposal landed. A mid-sized manufacturing company, wanting to go solar. It wasn't huge, maybe $80,000, but it was something. It was enough to keep me alive. More importantly, they referred me to 3 other companies in their network. Those referrals led to more referrals. Suddenly, I had momentum. Spoiler alert, I didn't fail. By year 2, I had 3 major contracts. By year 3, I was hiring employees, turning down work because we were at capacity. And now, 5 years in, I run a firm with 23 employees, pulling in over $8 million in annual revenue, personally clearing about $400,000 after all expenses. But here's the thing. I still drive the same used Honda Civic I bought 5 years ago. My house is nice but modest. No designer clothes, no flashy spending. To look at me, you just see a regular guy, and that's exactly how I like it. The people who matter know what I've built. Everyone else? They can think whatever they want. Meanwhile, Kelly. She's had 8 jobs in the last 6 years. She studied communications in college because, in her words, it sounded easy. Graduated with a 2.6 GPA and no real plan. Since then, it's been retail, restaurants, an insurance office, a gym, some marketing agency that fired her after 4 months, and a bunch of others I can't even remember. She never lasts more than a year. Always an excuse. The job isn't right, the boss is terrible, she deserves better. 2 years ago, Kelly showed up at my house crying. Fired again, this time for being late too many times. Needed money for rent or she'd be evicted. She promised this was her wake-up call, that she'd turn her life around. I gave her the money. Not as a loan. I knew I'd never see it again. But she's my sister, and I didn't want her homeless. Still, I told her, I can't keep bailing you out. You have to figure this out. She nodded, thanked me, promised. Then she bought a new iPhone the next week. Priorities, right? About 6 months after that, she called again, asking if I had any openings. She hated her retail job, wanted better pay, benefits, an office job where she could feel professional and important. Here's where every logical bone in my body screamed. No, don't mix family and business. Don't hire someone with her track record. Don't do it. But she's my sister. And my mom had been dropping heavy hints about how nice it would be if I could help Kelly. And Kelly actually sounded genuine about wanting to change. So, against my better judgment, I created a position for her. I wasn't completely naive, though. I didn't give her anything crucial. I made her a client services coordinator. A fancy title for someone who handles emails, schedules meetings, does basic admin, and keeps client communication organized. Entry-level stuff. Paid $42,000 a year, plus benefits. Good money for the role, honestly, more than she'd ever made. Before her first day, I sat her down. Laid out clear expectations. Show up on time, respond to emails within 24 hours, update the client database, be professional. Basic stuff. She nodded, agreed, promised not to let me down. Team. That's when Kelly decided to chime in. Yeah, well, he got lucky, she drawled, a smirk playing on her lips. That's all it is. The table went quiet. I looked at her, thinking maybe I misheard. My dad asked, confused. What do you for the first month? She was amazing. Early, enthusiastic, eager to learn. I actually started thinking I'd been wrong. Maybe she had turned a corner. Maybe working for family would be the motivation she needed. Then month 2 hit. The cracks started. Late arrivals. 5, 10 minutes at first, which I let slide. But it escalated, 15, 30, then an hour. Always an excuse. Traffic, alarm, not feeling well. Never her fault. And her work quality? Plummeting. Emails unreturned for days. Meetings scheduled incorrectly. The database became a mess. Patricia, my office manager, who's been with me since year 1 and never complains unless there's a real problem, came to me 3 times in 1 month about Kelly. Then the big one. Kelly scheduled a critical presentation with a potential client for 2 p.m. This client flew in from Nevada specifically for this meeting. At 1:45 p.m., the front desk called. Conference room wasn't set up, and Kelly was nowhere to be found. She'd gone to lunch at noon and just never came back. No call, no text. Later, I found out she'd run into friends and decided to hang out. She showed up at 4 p.m., acting like nothing happened. I had to personally apologize to that client, reschedule their flight. We eventually got the contract, but only because I comped part of our fees. That single incident cost me $15,000 in lost revenue and almost torched a relationship with a potentially huge client. When I confronted her, she actually said she'd lost track of time and didn't think it was a big deal, since I was there to handle the meeting anyway. Didn't think it was a big deal? A client flew across 3 states for a meeting she scheduled and then ditched, and it wasn't a big deal? Another time, she sent a prospective client an email with so many typos and grammatical errors. They called me to ask if we were even a legitimate company. It literally said, "We look forward to doing business with your company." I had to explain we were training a new employee. She'd been there 4 months. That wasn't a new employee mistake. That was pure laziness. I pulled her aside. Not as her brother, but as her boss. I told her the late arrivals needed to stop. Her work needed to improve. She got defensive immediately. Said I was too hard on her, that I didn't understand the stress, that Patricia was out to get her because she was jealous of the boss's sister. That last part almost made me laugh. Patricia, my right hand, making $95,000 a year with equity in the company, Jealous of Kelly? But Kelly needed someone to blame. I gave her a formal written warning. Documented everything. Told her if things didn't improve in 30 days, we'd have to reconsider her position. Daddy difference is he got lucky. She looked straight at me, daring me to disagree. My cousins stared at their plates. My dad looked like he wanted to say something, but didn't know what. But she cried, promised to do better. Things improved for about 2 weeks, then slid right back. But the worst part? Her attitude. She'd complain constantly about how hard she worked, then take hour-long lunches and spend half the day on her phone. She'd grumble about being underpaid, despite making more than market rate for her experience. She'd make comments about how easy I had it as the owner, like I just sat around counting money instead of busting my ass to keep everything afloat. My other employees noticed. I'd overhear them grumbling about Kelly getting special treatment because she was family. And they were right. Any other employee with her track record would have been fired months ago. But I kept giving her chances because she was my sister. It was exactly the situation I'd been warned about. The final straw came 3 months ago, just before Thanksgiving. A major client, a commercial real estate company wanting to retrofit 5 buildings with solar panels, a potential $2 million contract, emailed Kelly with some basic questions about our proposal timeline. Simple stuff. Kelly's job was to forward those questions to my team, get answers, and compile a professional response. Literally why I hired her. She never responded. Never. The client followed up a week later, slightly annoyed. Still nothing from Kelly. They followed up again, directly with me, now seriously irritated. They were ready to take their $2 million project to a competitor. I found out because they called me directly. When I asked Kelly, she said she'd been busy with other tasks and forgot. Forgot about a $2 million client. Forgot to do the basic job I paid her $42,000 a year to do. I spent 3 hours personally smoothing things over, apologizing, offering a discount. I saved the contract, barely, but our reputation took a hit. They'd remember us for failing to respond to basic emails. I should have fired her right then and there. But Thanksgiving was 2 weeks away. My mom had been so happy we were working together. So proud I was helping my sister build a career. I just couldn't bring myself to fire Kelly right before the holidays and ruin my mom's Thanksgiving. So I decided to wait. Enjoy the holiday, then have a professional conversation the following week. Give her a severance package, 2 months' pay, wish her well. Clean. Professional. Generous. Then Thanksgiving dinner happened. The whole family was there. Mom had gone all out. Everyone was in good spirits, post-meal haze. Someone asked me how work was going. I gave my standard, polite answer. Business is good. Strong year. Grateful for our clients and you mean. Kelly leaned back, getting comfortable for her speech. I mean, he acts like he's some brilliant businessman, but he just got lucky with timing. The renewable energy boom happened right when he started his company. He rode the wave. Anyone could have done what he did if they'd been in the right place at the right time. My mom looked mortified. Kelly's boyfriend, Jake, was nodding along like she was dropping wisdom. I just sat there, waiting. Honestly, she continued, if you look at it objectively, he's not even that smart about business. His whole strategy is just undercutting competitors on price. That's not genius, that's basic. A trained monkey could do what he does. My mom started, Kelly, but she waved her off. No, it's true. Everyone acts like he's this amazing success story, but it's literally just luck. Right time, right industry, right circumstances. He works hard, sure, but so do lots of people who aren't successful. Didn't get mad. I didn't defend myself. I didn't argue. I just smiled and nodded. You might be right, I said calmly. Luck definitely played a role. Kelly looked almost disappointed. She clearly wanted a fight, wanted me to get defensive. Exactly, she said, vindicated. People need to stop acting like he's special. He just got lucky. That's the truth. My uncle tried to change the subject. Lucky or not, it's working out well for him. For now, Kelly added, but luck runs out eventually. Then we'll see how successful he really is. My mom mercifully suggested we move to the living room for pie. Everyone practically leaped at the chance to escape. As people got up, I pulled out my phone, pretended to check messages. I opened my company's HR management app. We use a system that lets me handle payroll, benefits, everything remotely. Very convenient. I navigated to Kelly's employee profile. Clicked the drop-down, employment status. Changed it from active to terminated. Entered today's date as the end date. Added a note. Performance issues in violation of company conduct policy. The app asked me to confirm. I clicked yes. It asked if I wanted to process final payments or severance. I clicked no. She'd get her final paycheck for hours worked, but that was it. No severance. No 2 months' pay. The whole process took maybe 90 seconds. By the time I walked into the living room for pie, Kelly was officially no longer employed by my company. Her access to our systems was revoked. Her next direct deposit, scheduled for the following Friday, was canceled. I sat down with my pumpkin pie and listened to Kelly continue her tirade, now criticizing my house, saying it was too small for someone who supposedly made so much money. Clearly, I was either lying about my income or too stupid to know how to spend money. One or the other. I just nodded and ate my pie. I didn't say a word about what I'd just done. Why would I? She'd find out soon enough. The rest of Thanksgiving was fine. Kelly moved on to other topics. Football. My dad fell asleep. Standard holiday stuff. When Kelly left that evening, she hugged Mom and Dad, said bye to everyone. Didn't even glance at me. I went home and slept better than I had in months. No guilt, no second-guessing. Just a profound relief that I'd finally made the decision I should have made months ago. Friday morning, I got to the office early. Patricia was already there. I called her into my office. Kelly's no longer with the company, I told her. Patricia's face showed a mix of relief and concern. Are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said. It was overdue. We need to redistribute her responsibilities until we hire a replacement. Patricia nodded. I'll handle it. And for what it's worth, you made the right call. She wasn't a good fit here. I know, I said. I should have done it sooner. We sent out a brief email to the team. Kelly Turner is no longer with the company, effective immediately. Her responsibilities have been redistributed. All clients should be directed to Patricia for coordination needs until further notice. Professional. To the point. A few employees came by my office that day. Nobody asked what happened. They all knew. They'd watched Kelly coast for months while they did the real work. A couple even thanked me for finally addressing it. That stung a bit, knowing my team had been frustrated for so long while my family loyalty had clouded my judgment. The day Kelly's direct deposit should have hit was the following Friday. Around 2 p.m., my phone started blowing up. First text from Kelly. Hey, my paycheck didn't deposit. Can you check with payroll? I didn't respond. I was in a meeting. 10 minutes later, another text. Seriously, where's my paycheck? This is ridiculous. 5 minutes after that. I need that money today. I have bills to pay. Fix this now. Then she called. I declined. She called again. Declined again. Then my office phone rang. Patricia answered, listened for a minute, then walked into my office. Kelly's on line 1, she said, barely suppressing a smile. She's very upset about her paycheck. Tell her to check her email, I said. She should have received a termination notification last week. Patricia went back to her desk. I heard her relay the message. Then Kelly's voice, loud enough I could make out words through Patricia's phone. Patricia said something else, then hung up. She says she never got any email, Patricia reported. And she's demanding to speak with you. Did you verify the termination email was sent? I asked. Patricia checked. Sent Friday at 8 a.m. to her company email. She probably hasn't checked it since Thanksgiving, I muttered. Of course she hadn't. Kelly treated checking work email like it was optional. Another reason she was terrible at her job. If she calls back, I told Patricia, tell her to check her company email for all relevant information regarding her termination. And if she continues to harass our office line, we'll need to block her number. Kelly did call back 3 times. Patricia gave her the same message each time and eventually blocked her. Then Kelly started texting me personally. The messages grew progressively angrier. You fired me? Are you kidding me right now? You can't just fire me without warning. That's illegal. Your own sister. You're a terrible person. This is because I told the truth about you at Thanksgiving, isn't it? You're that petty. You owe me that paycheck. I worked for that money. I responded to exactly one text. You received your final paycheck for all hours worked up to your termination date on November 25th. Any questions about your termination should be directed to HR. Then I muted the conversation. She tried calling my personal phone. I didn't answer. She called my office directly. Patricia blocked her. She even showed up at my office on Monday morning, but our building has security. You need a key card. Security called me. Expecting a Kelly Turner? No, I said. She's no longer employed here. Ask her to leave. They did. The real fireworks started when she called my parents. My mom called me that Monday evening as I was leaving the office. What's this about you firing Kelly? She demanded. No, hello. Just straight to the accusation. It's true, I said. I terminated her employment last Friday. Without even talking to her first? Without any warning. She had multiple warnings, Mom. Written documentation, performance improvement plans. I'd been trying to work with her for months. She chose not to improve. But she's your sister. And she was my employee. A bad employee. I gave her more chances than I would have given anyone else because she's my sister. But I can't run a business on family sentiment. Mom was quiet for a moment. Kelly says you fired her because she said you got lucky at Thanksgiving. She thinks you're just being petty and vindictive. I actually laughed. Mom, I fired her because she was bad at her job. Consistently late, ignored client emails, created problems for my team, and cost me a major contract because she couldn't be bothered to do basic tasks. The Thanksgiving comment had nothing to do with it. She says you did it on your phone right there at dinner. I processed her termination on Thanksgiving, yes. But the decision was made weeks ago. I was planning to fire her that following Monday anyway. Her little speech just moved up the timeline. You should have talked to her first, given her another chance. I gave her 6 months of chances, Mom. How many more did you want me to give her? My mom sighed. She's really struggling now. She doesn't have a job. She's behind on rent. She needs help. Then she should have thought about that before she decided to coast at the one job where someone actually gave her a real opportunity. I said, my voice firmer than usual. She's family, but I'm not her personal ATM. I helped her by giving her a good job with good pay. She threw that away. Those are consequences of her own choices. Mom didn't like that answer. She tried the guilt trip, talking about little sister, and how I should want to help her. I listened politely, then told her I had to go. She wasn't happy, but she let me off the phone. My dad called the next day. He was more direct. You need to give Kelly her job back, he said. No preamble. No, I don't, I replied. She's your sister. You can't just abandon her like this. I'm not abandoning her. I'm holding her accountable for her work performance. There's a difference. She made one comment at Thanksgiving and you ruined her life over it. Dad, I kept detailed records of every performance issue, every late arrival, every missed deadline, every client complaint. This has nothing to do with Thanksgiving and everything to do with 6 months of documented poor performance. Ask her about the $2 million client. She almost lost us because she couldn't be bothered to respond to an email. My dad went quiet. What client? I explained the situation, how Kelly ignored multiple emails, how I had to personally intervene to save the contract, and how that was just one example. She never mentioned that, my dad said slowly. Of course she didn't, because that would require her to take responsibility for her actions instead of blaming everyone else. My dad was quiet for a long moment. Your mother is very upset about this. I'm sorry she's upset, but I made the right business decision. Kelly was a liability to my company. I couldn't keep her on staff just because we share DNA. Family is supposed to support each other. I did support her, Dad. I gave her a job she wasn't qualified for. I paid her more than market rate. I gave her chance after chance to improve. At some point, support becomes enabling. I'm not going to enable her to coast through life expecting other people to carry her. My dad didn't have much to say to that. He told me to think about what I was doing, and hung up. Kelly tried a few more times to get me to rehire her, or at least give her severance. Long texts about how unfair I was, how I'd never understood her, how everyone expected her to be like me and she couldn't live up to it, how I was successful because I had advantages she didn't. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. She'd built this narrative where she was the victim, and I was the villain. Nothing I said would change that. People believe what they want to believe. About 2 weeks after I fired her, my mom called again. She sounded tired. I just want you to know that your father and I loaned Kelly money for her rent. She says she's looking for a new job, but it's taking time. Okay, I said. We're disappointed in how you've handled this situation. That's your right, Mom. But I stand by my decision. She's your sister. You should have helped her. I did help her. For 6 months. I helped her. She chose not to help herself. My mom sighed. I don't think you understand how hard things are for her right now. I understand perfectly well. I also understand that she created this situation for herself. I'm sorry she's struggling, but those are the natural consequences of her choices. You've become very hard, my mom said quietly. No, Mom. I've just learned that helping people who don't want to help themselves doesn't actually help them. It just enables them to keep making bad choices. We didn't talk for a while after that. My parents were upset. Kelly was telling everyone I'd betrayed her. My aunt apparently thought I was too harsh. My uncle thought I did the right thing, but wouldn't say so publicly because he didn't want to deal with my mom. But you know what? My business ran better without Kelly there. Patricia hired a replacement within 3 weeks. A recent college grad named Rachel who actually showed up on time, responded to emails, and treated her job with respect. Client communications improved. Team morale improved. Everything just worked better. About a month after all this went down, I got a text from Kelly. It was different from her angry rants. I got a new job. Starts Monday. Just wanted you to know I'm fine. I texted back, glad to hear it. Good luck with the new position. She didn't respond. I didn't expect her to. That was probably the last direct communication we'd have for a while. Maybe forever. Some bridges burn and stay burned. My parents slowly started talking to me again, though things were strained. Mom would call occasionally, surface-level conversations. Dad sent me an article about a solar project. Small gestures toward normalcy, but the tension was still there. They'd made it clear they thought I was wrong. I'd made it clear I didn't care. Christmas was awkward as hell. Kelly and I didn't speak directly. Dad tried to manufacture a conversation. Why don't you two talk and work this out? Like we were toddlers. Kelly looked at me with cold eyes. I looked back with equal indifference. Neither of us said anything. Dad gave up. Right after New Year's, things got interesting. Kelly apparently told Jake, her boyfriend, her whole version of the story. How I fired her out of jealousy and spite, how I couldn't handle her telling the truth about my success, how I was a terrible person. Jake, being the brilliant mind he is, decided to help her get revenge. He created a fake Google review for my company. 1 star, claiming we'd scammed his business out of $50,000, never delivered, a sham operation. He even made up a fake business name. The problem with Jake's plan? I have Google Alerts set for my company. I saw the review within an hour. I also saw that the account that posted it was created that same day and had only posted that one review. Not exactly sophisticated. I took screenshots, documented everything, flagged it to Google as fraudulent. It was removed within 48 hours. Then, I had my attorney send Jake a cease and desist letter for defamation and attempted damage to my business reputation, mentioning potential legal action. Kelly called me 2 days later, screaming about me, threatening to sue her boyfriend. I calmly told her that if her boyfriend wanted to commit actionable defamation, he should be prepared for the consequences. Then I hung up. Jake apparently backed off after that. Turns out, when you threaten actual legal consequences, people tend to reconsider. In February, my mom called with news. Kelly had been evicted. She'd been staying with Jake, but that relationship imploded after the legal threat. Now she was asking to move back in with our parents. My mom asked if I would reconsider hiring Kelly. I said no. She asked if I would at least loan Kelly money for a deposit. I said no again. She said I was being cruel. I reminded her that Kelly had burned through every opportunity, insulted me publicly, and had her boyfriend try to sabotage my business. At what point was Kelly responsible for her own situation? Mom didn't have an answer. Kelly moved back home at 28 years old. March brought the real satisfaction, though. Remember that major client Kelly almost lost us? The $2 million contract I'd barely saved? They came back with an expansion proposal. They were so happy with our work on their initial 5 buildings that they wanted us to handle 12 more properties. This new contract was going to be worth about $5 million over 3 years. During the contract signing meeting, the client's VP actually mentioned how impressed they were with our communication improvements over the past few months. He specifically praised our new client services coordinator for being responsive and professional. Said it was night and day compared to their initial experience. I thanked him, explained we'd made some personnel changes to better serve our clients. He nodded approvingly. That contract put us on track to break $12 million in revenue for the year. We were growing faster than I'd projected. I hired 3 more employees, including a second project manager. Business was booming. I found out through my mom that Kelly was working at a department store again, making minimum wage plus commission. Still living at home, still complaining about how unfair life was, still blaming everyone but herself. My parents stopped asking me to help her. I think they finally realized no amount of money or opportunities would fix Kelly's fundamental problem. She didn't want to do the work. In April, I got a message on LinkedIn from someone who'd worked with Kelly. He said Kelly was telling people she'd left my company because I was running it unethically, claiming she quit on principle. I posted a professional update on LinkedIn about our company's expansion and the importance of maintaining high standards. I didn't mention Kelly, but anyone who knew the situation understood. 2 former colleagues reached out, glad to see we were thriving. Her attempts to damage my reputation had completely backfired. People in the industry talk, and when they saw my company's actual success, it just made her look bitter and unreliable. By summer, things had settled into a new normal. My company hit 30 employees and over $15 million in projected annual revenue. We moved into a bigger office. I finally gave myself a raise and bought a newer car. Still a Honda, just a less beat-up one. My parents and I reached a peaceful détente. We talked occasionally about neutral topics. They'd stopped defending Kelly's behavior, mostly because even they couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. My dad actually apologized to me in June. Said he understood why I made the decision I made. That meant more than he probably realized. Kelly was still living at home, still bouncing between jobs. Last I heard, she'd gotten fired from the department store for being late too many times. Moved on to a call center. My mom stopped giving me updates unless I specifically asked. In August, I ran into Jake at a gas station. We made eye contact. He looked away immediately, hurried to his car. I just smiled and went about my day. Some battles win themselves. The best part came in September. We won a major industry award for innovative renewable energy consulting. There was a ceremony, a trophy, a write-up in several trade publications. My team was thrilled. Patricia cried happy tears. It was a huge validation of everything we'd built. The awards ceremony was on a Thursday evening. The write-up was published Friday morning. By Friday afternoon, my phone was blowing up with congratulatory messages from colleagues, former coworkers, even some family. My mom called that evening. She'd seen the article. She said she was proud of me. Then she said something that actually surprised me. Kelly saw the article, too. She didn't say anything, but I could see it on her face. I think she finally understands what she gave up. I didn't respond to that. There wasn't anything to say. Kelly had made her choices. I'd made mine. The results spoke for themselves. What would you have done in my place, watching a family member sabotage themselves like that? Have you ever had to draw a hard line with someone you care about? Tell me what you think in the comments. I really want to know.